Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing topic 2 of our set complete guide. Here I'll be uploading a perfect complete guide that is required you to do any type of question in your main exam. We have done the linear equations and even we have done the questions on it, though the questions were just 11, but it will give you enough idea what all sort of questions you can find there. And as we'll proceed, we'll see all the types of different questions there as well. So today we are doing the linear equations and two variables. That means previously it was only x, but now you will see y as well. So let me start. For example, if you see this one, x plus 2y equals 3. And clearly this is a linear equation because the highest power of these variables are just 1. And you will find two different variables here. So obviously it's an example of an equation with two variables. Or you can say 2x minus 3y equals 1 will also be, you can say, is an example of linear equations in two variables. Now, if you have, these are individual equations, but you cannot find the value of, if you just have one equation, say for example this first one, x plus 2y equals 3. And now the question is to calculate the value of x or y, but how you will calculate unless you don't have the value of one variable given already. Yeah, if already one variable given, you can easily calculate. But what if they haven't mentioned anything? Then in that case, and mostly the case, you will find the system of linear equations, because if the equations are having two variables, at least you need two different equations to get the answer. So how many variables you want to calculate, the equation should be that number. That means, suppose your equation is x plus y plus z equals 3, and you have to calculate a unique solution for x, y and z. So to calculate three different values, you need three different equations because you have three different variables. So to calculate a unique solution, a unique value, you require three different equations, and that is called system of equations. But before doing system of equations, let me focus on only what this represent. This only x plus 2y equals 3 is exactly what. So let me see exactly what it is. If I see the graphical interpretation of it, this is an equation of a straight line. That means when I plot any straight line, the equation of such a straight line will always be in this form. That means you will be having two variables and they both are representing a linear equation. So there are two ways by which you can represent this one. The first one is ax plus by plus c equals 0, in which I have written, right, 2x plus 2y equals 3, or we can write it as x plus 2y minus 3 equals 0. Or in terms of graphical representation, when I'm representing it in a form of a straight line, we always represent it in the form of y is equals to mx plus b or mx plus c, whatever variable you can use here. This is called slope or intercept format. This is how you can write a linear equation when you are representing it in a graph. So simple. What I'm trying to explain here is, when you represent this equation, the linear equation in two variables, you're always going to get an equation of a straight line. Definitely I will make a whole separate video on the straight line, how we can represent it on graph, what is a slope, what is y-intercept, what is a two-point form, how can we calculate it, how can we calculate equations. But here we are solely focusing on the algebraic part of the linear equations in two variables, and more specifically when you have a system of linear equations and how can we solve them. So after understanding the graphical interpretation, the simple thing is that when we represent it on a graph, we'll find a straight line. So after representing it, after knowing it, let me see what we can do to calculate the value of x and y. So now let's see what is system of linear equations when you have more than one linear equations given and you have to solve them. Even in solving them, you will get three different answers. You can get the unique solution, you can get no solution, and you can get infinitely many solutions. So let me start with the unique solution. That means when the system of linear equations are given, and in that case, here we are specifically focusing on the linear equation with two variables. I'm not taking 3 or 4 variables here in the case. It's only the two variables I'm taking. So when we have the equations given here and the solution is the unique solution, that means you will get a unique value of x, a unique value of y. So how to calculate that value? Let me first focus on that. Well, there are many ways of solving such equations, but the three methods that we use are substitution method, elimination method, and the graphical method. These are the main methods of solving these equations. Well, if you will find these equations like two equations, we also call them simultaneous equations. So let me see one by one how we can calculate the unique values of x and y in each of these methods. And I'm starting with the substitution method. In this method, as the name suggests, substitution, you are substituting the value. What happens? In this case, we take one equation and then find the value of one variable in terms of another variable. Say for example, we have these two equations, x plus 2y is equals to 3 and 4x minus 3y is equals to 1. I can pick any equation. There is no restriction that you have to pick only equation 1 or equation 2. You can pick any equation. Let's say I'm starting with the first equation. I have to find the value of one variable in terms of another variable. That means your first any variable. Here also there is no restriction. It's totally on you which variable you want it to be. So let's say I want that variable be x. So I have to calculate the value of x in terms of y, which means I need to make x the subject or I need to make x alone. I need to isolate x. So if I want to isolate x, I need to move 2y to right hand side. So I transpose it and I'll get 3 minus 2y. So what I did, I actually made x the subject here. Or I can say I have calculated the value of one variable in terms of another variable, because the value of x contains y. That's the meaning of value of one variable in terms of another variable. The next thing is we need to substitute. We have just rearranged our equation 1, right? So I'm just naming it equation 1 as it is. Now I need to substitute, or I need to plug this value of x in equation 2. Obviously don't do it in the same equation. So if you have calculated the value of a variable from equation 1, so you need to plug that value in equation 2 in another equation. So the next step is, let me plug value of x. So I can say substituting value of x in equation 2. This was our equation 2. So this is 4x minus 3y equals 1, and I just need to plug this value. So x is what? Only here in place of x, I'll write 3 minus 2y. Previously it was x, but since x is 3 minus 2y, so I am substituting this value. And now the next step is how we have solved the basic linear equation in one variable. We have to solve it exactly the same. That means first I have to expand the bracket. So 4 times 3 will give you 12. And 4 times minus 2y will give you minus 8y minus 3y equals 1. So 12 minus 11y equals 1. Now bring it here. Minus 11y equals 1 minus 12 is minus 11 and y equals 1. So we have calculated the value of y here. Now the next step is we just have to substitute this value of y in either of the equation, because it doesn't matter in which equation you are going to substitute, you're going to have the same value of y. So I'm just plugging y equals -1 in equation 1. On substituting in equation 1 is x plus 2y equals 3. So it's x plus 2y equals 3 and y is 1. So x plus 2 into 1 equals 3 and x is equals to 1 as well. So the unique solution that I have calculated is x is equals to 1 and y is equals to 1 as well. So this is how you can calculate the value of x and y. Let me do one more question on the same method, which is substitution method. See this equation, x minus 7y equals -5 and 3x plus y is equals to 7. We have to calculate the value of x and y. So repeating the same procedure, what we have to do is we have to find the value of one variable in terms of another variable from either of the equation. I can pick any one. Let me say I'm picking equation 1. So on picking equation 1, I just need to find the value of x in terms of y. So this will be 7y minus 5. So what I did, I transposed 7y onto the right hand side. After calculating the value of x, I need to plug this value in equation 2. So for the simplification, I'm just naming this equation. I have rearranged my equation 1 to get the value of x. And now I'm substituting this value of x, in equation 2. Remember, if you are finding the value of this variable from equation 1, you have to do substitution in equation 2 in another equation. If you are calculating the value of the variable from equation 2, you have to substitute that value in equation 1 to the opposite. So here substituting 3, our equation is 3x plus y equals 7 and x is 7y minus 5. So I'm substituting it here. 7y minus 5 plus y equals 7. Now on expanding, I'll get 3 times 7y is equals to 21y. 3 times minus 5 is 15 plus y equals 7. Now 21y plus y is 22y, and bringing 15 onto the right hand side, and while doing so we always change the sign. So 7 plus 15 is 22. Y is 1. Now once we have the value of one variable, you can substitute this value in either of the equation. There is no restriction here. So I'm just substituting here this value in equation 1, which is x minus 7y equals -5. So x minus 7y is equals to -5. Here substituting the value 1, x minus 7 into 1 equals -5. So x minus 7 equals -5, and bringing it onto the right hand side, I'll get x is equals to +2. So thus we have calculated the value of x as 2 and y as 1, and this was all about the substitution method. Well, the remaining methods, that means the graphical representation and the elimination method, along with that how to know whether the particular equations or set of equations have no solution or infinite solution, that we will be doing. The theory we will be covering in our next video. So if you need to access free material that are already available on our website, which is xacademy.com, and if you need one-on-one personalized classes for set, it's just at $7 per hour. So that's it for today. Thank you. Have a great day.